there, it's Melissa with Quilting by Heart. So I'm back, and this is going to be probably a little series of videos. I probably won't do all of this in one video because it will be so lengthy and my little phone will only do so much at a time. But I thought that I would bring you along while I load up and quilt my little wall hanging on my Grace Qzone Queen frame with my domestic machine on the carriage. I use the Juki to quilt, and I do have stitch regulation. When I say that I have stitch regulation, that means that I don't have to use the pedal with my domestic machine. That's what that little blue box, that stitch regulator, is for. So I'm going to bring y'all along while when I first purchased my machine and my quilt frame, I couldn't find hardly any videos. I found a few videos that was made by the Grace Company, but they were more professionally done, if you know what I'm talking about, and there wasn't really a lot of meat as to how to load and how to do things on this Qzone Queen frame. So I'm hoping that I could help somebody else that might have purchased this frame. Maybe you got it secondhand, or you know, maybe you purchased it from the Grace Company and you're just at a loss and you're wondering. Now, you experienced frame quilters out there, you might watch this and laugh your head off at me because I am a newbie, and I have only been doing this. I probably made like 8 small projects on this, and like I said, I couldn't find hardly anything to go on, so I just basically had to wing it, and I'm just finding little things that work as I go along. So I am by no means a professional at this, but I feel like this might be helpful for somebody that's just starting out on this particular Qzone Queen quilt frame from the Grace Company. So if this is something you think you would like, you're welcome to watch us. Okay, so before I get up and actually go to the frame, the first thing that I did, I've already done it, is I have wound a bobbin. Okay, since my machine is on the frame and it's bolted to my carriage, I don't like to have to do my bobbin winding there because it's kind of awkward to try to get around, and you could do that, but I wind my bobbins here on my trusty brother PQ 1500 SL. Miss Rosie winds my bobbins for me. So I've got a bobbin wound, and I'm using the glide thread in the white color, and that's what I'm going to have in my bobbin. Now, since I'm doing a small wall hanging, I only wound one bobbin because the glide thread is very thin. It's really strong, but it's thin, and it goes a lot further than a regular bobbin. Okay, but you do want to have several bobbins. If you were going to be doing anything bigger than a little small wall hanging or baby quilt, you would want to have at least 2 or 3 bobbins wound up, because it's aggravating when you have to stop midstream to change your bobbin. It's aggravating enough to have to change the bobbin. If you have to stop, go and wind another bobbin, then I mean, it really hampers you when you get into the rhythm. So I like to have a couple of bobbins already wound. So I've got my bobbin wound, and I'm fixing to show you. Now, I've already cleaned out my machine and kind of done, but I'll go over it and I'll just be showing you what I would do, you know, what I do before I start quilting. I hope I'm in the frame. I am not a videographer by any long shot of the imagination, but yeah. So, okay, first thing I'm going to do is turn my overhead light on. When you're quilting, you need good light. So I have a bright LED light above my quilting frame, and I'm going to flip it on really quick. Okay, now then, the next thing that I'm going to do is open my bobbin case down at the bottom, and I'll take out my bobbin. I'm going to remove this old bobbin. I've already wound another bobbin with the thread color that I'm going to be using. I'm going to put that old bobbin to the side. I'm going to take a makeup brush. I don't wear makeup, but I do use makeup brush to clean my sewing machine out. I get these little soft makeup brushes at the Dollar Tree. They're just the best thing to clean out sewing machines that I have found. So I'm going to clean my bobbin case good, because sometimes lint, there's a lot of lint involved in quilting, especially on a frame with this machine going so fast. It will build up, lint will actually build up in your bobbin case, believe it or not, down in the inside of that bobbin case. And if you don't clean it out periodically, it will start to give you issues with your needle and your thread. It'll start snagging and pulling and stuff. So I'm going to clean that out. Give that a little clean out, brush out, set to the side. Next, I'm going to go to my machine. Can you see? Hold on, let me see if y'all can see. Okay, I'm actually going to go to my machine with my brush. I'm going to go in and clean out. I've done this already, but I'm just showing you how I would clean out up in that bobbin case, and any lint that I see, I might blow it out real quick like that. Okay, I will take this and clean around my needle up here. Make sure that I'm looking down in it to see that there's no threads tangled up down there, no obstructions, nothing that's going to cause me any issues. Okay, now I will take this machine off of this carriage periodically and do a deep clean of this machine. I will oil it periodically, and I will oil the bobbin hook periodically on my machine, and just to make sure that it's running at its peak performance. Okay, I'm back now, and now that I have my machine cleaned out, okay, got my light on, got my machine cleaned out, I'm going to go ahead and put my bobbin in. Now this is kind of tricky on this carriage because the Juki does not have a top loading bobbin, it has a side loading bobbin. So it is a great little machine, but that is one of the things that I don't like about it, is that side loading bobbin on this model. But it is what it is, so I have to deal with that. And it's hard to get it down in here. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 tries to get this bobbin in and get it placed right. Okay, now I know what it is. My needle. Duh, Melissa. My needle was down. That's why my bobbin wasn't going in. Okay, here we go. Sometimes with this one you hear the little snap, and sometimes you don't, and that always gets me. I like to hear that little snap, but you don't always get that with this machine. Okay, I've got the bobbin in. I've got my thread cone up here. I have it. And we're fixing to thread this machine up. And you have to be really careful, because if you get a machine threaded wrong, it's not going to sew right. So I would always tell you to check your, especially if the machine is new to you, to check your sewing manual. And this glide thread is very thin and fine, and it's kind of slippery. And I was having a problem with it actually slipping out of the thread stand at the top. So I put a little, what do you call those plastic? A little zip tie up here to keep it from being able to slip out of the thread stand. And that seemed to do the trick. So I'm going to move y'all back, and I'm going to start threading her up. And this is a very awkward thing to have to do when you're doing it from up here. If it was a cotton thread, I would only go through the 2 loops on my Juki. But since it is a polyester thread and it's fine, I'm going through all 3 loops. That's what my manual says. And I call this the 3-ping system. There will be 3 times that you hear a little pop as this thread goes through where it's supposed to be. Number 1. Number 2. That was number 2. Okay. Now then. Number 3. Down there. And here comes my least favorite part, and that is actually threading the eye of this needle while it is on this carriage. And this is kind of a workout physically getting ready to sew. It's a little bit of a workout. Okay, I got it. All right, I'm pulling it through. Okay, got that pulled through. Now, I'm going to reach down, and as you always do when you thread your machine, I'm going to grab the bobbin thread and make sure that it pulls up. Got it. Alrighty. I've got a good little tail going on there. I'm going to clip it off. And she's ready to sew. So the next thing I'm going to do is load up my project, and that'll be part 2.